Today is June 22nd, 2022. My name is Rob Carr of Kalamazoo Right to Life, and this is Pro-Life Week. Well, before I forget, as we saw this past Tuesday, yesterday that is, the Supreme Court did not rule on Dobbs, and I understand the court is going to issue some more decisions tomorrow, on Thursday. So we'll see. Tomorrow may be the day that the Dobbs decision is announced by the Supreme Court. So some items in the news that are interesting, I think. Back on June 13th, the governor of New York, Kathy Hochul, appeared at the famous Cooper Union in New York City to sign a pro-abortion piece of legislation that guarantees abortion for all 9 months. It's also a call to women all over the country, basically, to come to New York, because if Roe's overturned and women live in states that may ban abortion, that New York's going to be open for these women to travel to New York and have their abortions and then go back home again. It's going to be an abortion mecca, very similar to the situation back in 1970 when New York repealed its law and had a very, very liberal law, and about 200,000 women from other states came to New York and had their abortions. So she gave some prepared remarks, and I'm going to read just a little bit of what she said. Quote, "This is the United States of America, where freedom and liberty are supposed to mean something. It's the rock on which we were founded. It's supposed to mean something, except in the eyes of some Neanderthals who say women are not entitled to those rights." Unquote. Well, first of all, welcome to the club, you bunch of Neanderthals. That's what we are. We are Neanderthals. So I'm going to be reading some of this. I just don't want to forget something. When we see an ultrasound of an unborn baby, we are too dumb. I was going to say stupid, but we are too dumb to think that's a baby, because there's nothing really there in the womb, just a collection of cells. When we are told that the unborn baby has DNA different from the mother, we are too dumb to understand the real science. The pro-abortion version of real science tells us that babies do not exist in the womb. Pro-abortion real science tells us that unborn babies do not have different DNA. Pro-abortion real science tells us that unborn babies do not have their own fingerprints different from the mother, or brain waves different from the mother. That when a doctor hears a fetal heartbeat, he or she is really hearing only the heartbeat of the mother's heart. I thank God that I am a Neanderthal. I believe in the true science that says that at conception, a new, unique individual has begun. His life has begun. About 2 weeks ago, I talked to veterinarian Dr. Jack Bly, and he recalled a science experiment that he had when he was in college. And it was watching the beginnings of new life of sea urchins. He saw a sperm and an egg come together at conception. And then he also witnessed some of the early cell divisions for sea urchins. But he saw new life begin, completely different from the father and completely different from the mother. He saw the beginnings of new life. So Governor Hochul talks about freedom and liberty. Where is the freedom for the unborn baby? Where is her liberty? Does a woman have the right to tell a doctor to kill her baby because she will be inconvenienced? Are there some pregnancies that are inconvenient? Of course there are. Are some pregnancies tragic? Yes, we all know that's the case. Are some pregnancies the result of violent crimes such as rape? Again, we know that's true. And those are horrible situations. But when is it acceptable to take another life to fix a problem, even a serious problem like rape? Are there better solutions than killing someone to fix serious mistakes? There have to be. Were black slaves human? Did they deserve freedom and liberty? Were Jews in concentration camps human? Did they deserve freedom and liberty? Are unborn babies human? Do they deserve freedom and liberty? Well, of course, the pro-abortion person would say, no, unborn babies are not human. They are nothing. They don't exist. So I guess I go back to that ultrasound I talked about at the beginning. There's nothing in that ultrasound. I'm just a dumb Neanderthal. Okay, let's move on. I saw just in the news today that a report about some new opinion polls, new and recent, that show that a majority of Americans really are not as pro-choice as the national media would have it. A Harvard Harris poll from December 2021, so it's about half a year old, found that 32% of Americans want Roe v. Wade to be overturned entirely, and 24% want the Supreme Court to uphold the Mississippi law, the Dobbs case that's maybe decided tomorrow, which means 56% of all Americans favor either overturning Roe entirely or at least scaling back to that 15-week limit that is a part of the Mississippi law. In January 2020, a Marist poll found that 71% of Americans want abortion made illegal or at least limited in some fashion beyond what Roe v. Wade permits. A May 2022 Trafalgar poll found that 57% of all Americans believe that abortion should be banned once a fetal heartbeat is detected. A May 2022, so the same month, Rasmussen poll found that 65% of all Americans want Roe v. Wade overturned. It was announced yesterday that the last remaining pro-life Democrat in the House of Representatives won his primary for re-election. I think he's a 10-term congressman, Henry Cuellar of Texas. He's the last pro-life Democrat in the House. And he was challenged by a woman. Actually, I think she actually challenged him 2 years ago. And she was defeated. And this time, she lost by about 300 votes. So because the election was so close, they had to have a recount. And the recount was, the decision was made yesterday, and she conceded. She lost by 290 votes. I mean, that is really close for a federal congressional district. That's very close. But Cuellar won. I wish him well. I mean, we need every pro-life Democrat we can get our hands on to provide at least a little smidgen of sanity for this party that has embraced abortion on demand almost entirely. So Henry Cuellar will probably, I think it's a fairly blue district in Texas, but he's most likely he will be returning to Washington as a pro-life Democrat. And last thing, I think this is the best news. Planned Parenthood of Wisconsin just announced just recently that if Dobbs overturns Roe v. Wade, that Wisconsin's 1849 pro-life law that is very similar to Michigan's. It bans abortions except for the life of the mother. It will take effect again. So Planned Parenthood announced that on June 25th, which is only 3 days from now, on June 25th, Planned Parenthood will stop performing abortions in the state of Wisconsin. That is amazing, and that is exciting news for all the people in that cheese state, Wisconsin. That is so exciting. And so it almost sounds like Planned Parenthood has thrown in the towel because Wisconsin's legislature is made up of a majority of pro-life legislators, and they will not pass new legislation that will overturn that 1849 ban. So good news for Wisconsinites. Before I go, don't sign that petition. Don't sign that petition. They're coming into their last week to 2 weeks before they have to hand over 500,000+ signatures, and we have no way of knowing yet if they're going to reach their goal. But here again, if you're approached by somebody at a mall or a library or downtown somewhere, don't sign it. With that, I'll let you go. Tomorrow may be a big day for the Supreme Court with the Dobbs decision, and we will find out tomorrow. With that, talk to you later. Bye-bye.